I hadn't been over to Glebe in years, so I thought I'd pop over today and have a look at the pop-up bike lane in Bridge Road. But the last time I was over in Glebe, we were having dinner in Glebe Point Road, and the people we're having dinner with had their car broken into, which was not the greatest end to the night. So I don't think I've actually been back to Glebe since then. Anyway, we actually did a ride through here about a week ago with a group, and so I had a rough idea of where to go. I mean, we didn't actually go to Bridge Road, and I kind of had to use the force to navigate my way across here. But essentially what I did was just rode around the bay, and from the Hawthorne light rail stop, just cut across on Allen Road or whatever the hell it is, and by absolute sheer chance really just ended up on Bridge Road. And in case you're wondering where I came from, yes, 5 Dock, that shadowy place across the other side of the bay. Now, just in case you're interested in retracing that route, I'll just do a quick little intro here to show you what it looks like. It's a pretty cruisy ride across, lots of bike paths and stuff across the inner west. Not too bad, couple of hills, the odd permanent bike lane like this. And about here I was wondering, where the heck do I get to Bridge Road from here? And I just turned in here purely by chance, and oh look, how do they do deliveries in this area at the moment? We'll actually come back to this truck in about 10 minutes. Just noticed that the time there was 13:35. Now, just have a close look. Well, it's probably hard to see, but these things, as we go past them, notice there's some fairly large gaps between them in places. I don't know if they're going to infill that or whether that's there because of bus stops perhaps. But you can see between these temporary bike lane things, there's actually some large gaps. So people that are concerned about, well, how would an ambulance stop here? Well, it's pretty easy. They just pull into one of these gaps because they're long enough to hold a car. And you might say, well, they've got these orange poles sticking out of them. Yes, they do. And the reason I put that photo back there is to show that those orange poles actually just feed into slots in the top of these orange things. They're not bolted in, they're not screwed in, they're not nailed in, they're not glued in, they just slot in. So you could just, Ambo could come along and kick them out essentially. You just kick them at the bottom and they'll come out, and you could park straight on top of those yellow things. So this is just showing what it's like in a section where there's no temporary bike lane. I had to come out of there and merge, obviously because the road's too narrow to have a lane through there. And you can see that these cars overtaking me, because the road's so narrow, you can see that one's, well, they're all over the double white lines, which is legal. They're allowed to do that, that's fine. It's just an illustration of how narrow these roads are in the inner city. Now, coming down through here, again, we can see no temporary bike lane here at the moment. Again, possibly just because it's too narrow, I don't know. I couldn't see any line markings on the road to indicate they might be coming up. But that was a little uphill section. I was making good time up there. And you can see they're nice and wide. Now these yellow base bits do meander around a bit, but I didn't think they were ever dangerous or anything like that. I don't know if they need to screw them down a bit later on. Now you can see you had to come out there because there's a concrete island there at the pedestrian crossing. And I didn't go back inside the temporary cycle path there because that looked like a seriously narrow gap, and I didn't get the tape measure out to measure it. But you can see there is a dotted line there if you look on the left of that car's tyre. And I wonder if that's where they actually mean to move those things out to a bit closer to that. So that was one problem I found. They just need to be relocated out, I don't know, 6 inches or so to make it a bit better. Now coming down the hill here, I had read some comments online that this was a bit sketchy and it pinched out in places, and I was just taking it really easy coming down here on the brakes, expecting to come around a corner and find that the bike lane just went and suddenly stopped, but it didn't. I could smell the freshly painted green paint, and if I'd known this path actually had 0 obstructions in it, I would have been off the brakes and probably moving faster than the cars. It's good. So come down under the bridge here. The second hassle I found was when we get to Blackwattle Bay at the end here, I didn't know where to go. I mean, I've never done this before. This is not a route I'd usually do, and I came to the lights here and I thought, where to next? How do I get to the city or the fish markets or whatever? And I didn't really fancy riding on that road. And what I did is I got on the footpath here, and you can't really see it, but there's shared path symbols on the path there. So I just think the council needs to highlight that transition a lot better, to say, yes, you can go over here and ride on the footpath, well, the shared path actually, it's not a footpath, which would make life a lot better for the novices like me. That's a really good example of smooth transition there. That's a nice ramp the council's put in, and we were chugging up the hill, and I didn't know how long this was going to take, what the grade was like, how to pace myself or anything like that. But you can see how much faster the cars are going up the hill than I am, and what we'll actually see at the end, if you stick around for that long, is you can really see just how fast the cars are coming up behind you. So yeah, I would not like to do this if there wasn't a pop-up cycleway here. This would be really intimidating. I'd be happy to ride up here with my kids. I think this is, it's safe enough for that. It's good separation from the traffic, and you've always got to worry when you've got drivers coming up behind you at speed like that. If there's just a painted line, they have this really, really bad habit of drifting across the line and just getting way too close. So thank you for these plastic things. Now, the only problem is, of course, here they pinch out. I guess that's because the road pinches in, probably due to this right-hand turn lane having to be here. And I didn't know how to pace myself, and I'd pretty much run out of puff by this stage. It's like, oh my God, I've got this idiot in a van behind me revving his engine, and I've got to try and get across here, with my legs burning from the effort. That's a lesson for next time. And we'll probably see this guy. Yeah, oh wow. Yeah, he was in a hurry. He was on P plates, and in fact, we'll see him in about a minute. All that effort really didn't do him any good. And right, here we go. Lane starts again. It's nice. I guess they need to get a narrow street sweeper in here to take out those leaves and things, but I didn't really notice it. It certainly wasn't an issue. And again, you can see there's some pretty significant gaps as we come down there between the yellow base things. Oh, errant balloon there, had to watch out for. Yeah, look, the lane is wide enough. It's pretty clear of debris and stuff. I mean, I was just riding a road bike, skinny tyres. Didn't find any problems with that. I slowed down there to just have a look at these things, and that's where I found that yes, if you do look closely, you can see that that orange thing just slots in at the top, which is why I'm saying if an emergency vehicle has to turn up, the passenger, Ambo's always travel in pairs, so the driver would pull up, if they need 10 metres to be able to load a stretcher in the back, the second Ambo would jump out, kick those things out of the slots, and the ambulance could just park straight over the top of them. And cyclists are used to getting around hazards all over the place and going through narrow gaps. Oh, there's the van I told you about. If there was an ambulance parked in the bike lane, well, you just go around the ambulance, and you can see there's all these gaps left in the cycle path, in the plastic stuff. You just pull out through one of those gaps, go around the ambulance, and come in through the next gap. It's not rocket science, really. It really isn't. So again, it's nice coming down here. I didn't even look closely at those drain gates, but they didn't look like a hazard. No temporary path through there, obviously, because the concrete island gets in the way. You have to come over a bit here to come in. Yes, there's a branch on the path, but whoopie-doo. I actually could have stopped and thrown that away. And again, nothing here because of the road pinching in again. Well, you just have to get out in the lane with the traffic. Now, does it continue past here? I can't remember. Let's have a look. We'll soon find out. I don't think it does. But what we're about to see is a classic example of why the temporary cycle lane is required, and that's because there's a parked vehicle up ahead of us and I've got to get around it in order to continue on. And yeah, do you really want to get around it with utes and stuff like that? I mean, look at the amount of space there on the other side of the parked vehicles. You know, riding up the side of them is pretty awful. Anyway, that was the end of that, and we come back and oh, delivery van's still there. That's what, 11 minutes later, and who knows how long they were there for. So here's the rear view, just showing how narrow that gap is between, in that little section between the temporary cycle stuff and the curb. Yeah, I'm a bit of a wide load. I don't think I would have fit it in there too well. And here's the uphill section, just showing the reverse angle with the differential in speed between me chugging up the hill and you know, the cars racing up behind me. And again, you know, how uncomfortable it would be if these were racing up behind you and you were having to go past you know, parked cars up here with a very small gap, and you know, you might be doing, I don't know, if you're reasonably fit, 20 kilometers an hour, and the cars are coming up behind you at 50. It's not a very good feeling. What else can I say about it? Yeah, it's good. You know, as a first effort, I think they've, you know, over the last week or so, they've probably tidied it up a little bit, gotten rid of some of the, you know, initial problems with placement, etc., of the plastic stuff for cyclists. Could probably be screwed down a little bit better in some places, but you know, we'll see what happens. Yeah. You know, the only real section I found that was an issue was here, and here's that van again. You know, you can see the P-plater in a rush, you know, trying to essentially push me through was, you know, not the best feeling in the world. You know, when you got someone, you know, right up your bum, you know, trying to give you a hurry up. And after doing that, I found myself a very groovy little cafe and had a delicious breakfast. Thank you.